What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of Podcast Named Deferred. I am your host, Seven. We are going to get started here in just a second. I got Craig and Ambrose in the back. Erica's on her way. She's going to be here a little bit late, but she is going to join us as well. And we have a lot to talk about around the world of baseball tonight, including what I think is one of the dumbest sports takes I've ever heard in my adult life. But we're going to get right on into it here right after we bring in the crew. First, he has written features for MLB Trading Card Magazine, the Santa Clarita American, and various other pieces covering the Giants and the A's. He is the man, the myth, the legend. He is Craig Newton, everybody.
Good evening.
Man, I'm so glad you're here. And especially with our lead topic tonight, your experience with the Giants is going to be very helpful for helping me try to understand how somebody could be this stupid. But we'll get into it in a second here. He is a Yankees fan, but we don't hold it against him too much, primarily because I don't know. You know, he's just not the regular kind of asshole that you get with the Yankees. It's different. But this is Ambrose, everybody.
I never said half the things I said.
Oh, man.
I am coming in hot though, real quick. What is going on at PNC Park? I mean, between the back, last week's horrifically tragic event, this week you have a staff member just popping people in the mouth and going pootie tang with a belt. Like, what is going on at PNC Park?
Lawsuits.
Stop.
I was just gonna say, like, Fight Club. Like, I think that PNC Park is just baseball Fight Club. You know, that's a relevant question. I think we're gonna get time. We're gonna talk more about that because I have a feeling part of it has to do with the location, because it's Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but I mean, Chicago. The White Sox play in the South. Well, you need to go to the games for there to be something to happen. The Yankees play in the South Bronx. That's the second worst neighborhood in Major League Baseball. I mean,
yeah, but there's a difference. There's a reverence and a respect to baseball in New York across the entire city. Even amongst people that are not baseball fans, there is still a respect for the game. And people in Pittsburgh have it so rough. I don't think they really have the energy to respect anything. They just don't give a shit anymore.
Well, I think the thing with the Yankees too is the New York Police Department is bar none. It's one of the best police departments in the world.
Yeah.
So on game day, I think they hit the stadium. The usual goings on, you know, with the illicit substances and everything. It's like, fellas, we're not here to arrest anybody. It's game day. Stay away from the taxpayers for 3 hours. Once they leave, you can resume business. We'll leave you the hell alone. And it's kind of like a fine line. It's like an agreement. Just leave the attendees of the game alone, and no one's got to go to jail today. And I don't think there's many other police departments that do that and handle it that smoothly. And that's why you have these incidents at other ballparks.
Craig, what do you think?
That makes sense. That makes sense.
What I mean, San Francisco's had a lot of issues. That city deals with a lot of crime. I know the ballpark's not in the best neighborhood. It's in a nicer neighborhood, but it's not in the best neighborhood. What do they do to keep stuff like that from happening in San Francisco? Because we don't really see a lot come out there either. What's the environment like there?
Actually, it's a real nice area that they're in. It's a real nice
Oh,
area.
yeah, okay.
I mean, you can walk from the train station to a block and a half from the train station to the ballpark. All new shops, all new stores. It's a nice walk, and it's right next to the marina. So you got it's a nice walk around the marina. It's a nice area.
Yeah, I think Oakland's was the one that was in the bad neighborhood.
Yeah, that was a bad area. You break down Oakland on the way to the ballpark, you're screwed.
Because I think anything outside of, correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, you're from there. I think anything outside of Jack London Square in Oakland, if your car breaks down, it's like lock the doors and wait for the cops.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Fair enough. Oh. So our lead topic for tonight. Somebody at ESPN said, and I can't remember who it was because the second I read this comment, I thought I was going to have an aneurysm. Somebody said that Judge right now is prime Barry Bonds. Greg, you have the experience of being up close and personal with Barry Bonds in his prime, and obviously you can see what Judge is doing now. Do you agree with that assessment?
No, he's got a ways to go. He's got a ways to go. He's on his way, no question about it. But he's got a ways to go.
But I think people discount Bonds because of the roids.
Yep.
And I don't think they realize Judge is great hitter, adequate fielder, but he's not. Bonds was a 5-tool player.
Yeah.
Judge cannot. People forget because towards the end, Barry Bonds was like hulking and he wasn't doing much base running. Barry Bonds was a better base runner than he was a hitter.
Yeah, and his hitting, he only had one. He had one pitch in 9 innings to launch.
Yep.
He's either being walked intentionally. See, one pitch in 9 innings to hit, and he didn't miss it.
I mean, when he started focusing on the home runs and abandoning the base stealing, people kind of forgot about it. But I think the guy's got almost 500 stolen bases. I mean, if not 500, I think he's the only player, and we'll get to this later because I have the stats. I think he's the only player like him and Willie Mays have like 400 home runs and 400 stolen bases.
Yeah.
It's an astronomical statistic. And if he stuck with that instead of chasing the home runs, he could have hit like Lou Brock territory.
Yeah.
So some interesting numbers that I noticed. So Barry Bonds was walked 2,558 times over his career. 2,558. Now, interesting to note, he was only struck out 1,539 times in his career. Aaron Judge, through 10 seasons, already has, where did it go? I just saw the number, 1,240. So he's definitely going to pass Barry there. But Barry Bonds walked 2,558 times over the course of his career. He played 2,986 games. So what that means is he was walked just shy of at least once per game. Now,
it was more than once a game.
Right. And his strikeout rate was ridiculously low. Obviously, that was almost less than once every. It was almost once every 2 games that he got a strikeout. Whereas when it comes to Judge, he only has 716 walks over his career to 1,029 games. So that's about a walk every. That takes about it's like about 15 to 20% less over like on a per game basis. So to me it's do I appreciate the greatness that we're seeing from Aaron Judge right now? Absolutely. But I think it's an insult to Barry Bonds and to baseball to say that prime Judge and prime Bonds are in the same category.
I mean, let me just pull this up real quick. because I have his stats right in front of me. I did some stat tracking here. Bonds has a WAR of 162.8. He's 65 hits shy of 3,000. I don't think Judge comes anywhere near 3,000. He'll hit 2,000 definitely. He strikes out way too much to hit 3,000. 762 home runs. He's the GOAT in that, obviously. The batting average dipped below 300. That's probably because he went towards slugging later in his career. 2,227 runs. Almost 2,000 RBIs. He's 4 shy of that. 514 stolen bases, a 607 slug percentage, an OPS of 1.051, and an OPS plus of 182 with a 444 on base percentage. He got on base 44% in 44% of his at-bats.
Dan, and this is Dan the Dick Warner, does a sports report with us sometimes. Good friend of mine. He and I talk a lot of baseball. Dan, Judge has already struck out 31 times this year over the course of 36 games, so he is right on pace to continue the way he's going. Actually, maybe a little farther. He's striking out this year at a rate of almost once again.
But after the stats I just read off, and I love Aaron Judge. Like I said, I don't think he's by any means a bad player. I think he's a great player, but he's not catching Bonds in any of those key statistics.
No, he only has 56 stolen bases over his career.
And that already puts him, he's never catching that.
No.
I mean, and he's not a 5-tool player is what it boils down to. He's not. And Bonds was a better fielder.
Yes, absolutely. John, I see your question. We'll talk about this. We're going to be talking a lot about pitching tonight. So stick around because we'll get into this for sure. This is my thing. I get frustrated when people try to compare somebody in today's game from one of the greats when there is nowhere near enough of a true sample size to compare them, because Judge has only played for 10 years. Barry Bonds played for almost 20. Like there's the sample size isn't there, but when you break down like the per game numbers, I'm still taking Bonds 10 times out of 10.
And also to make this comparison, and I'm not saying that Aaron Judge is as bad as Vince Coleman, but it's like saying Vince Coleman is as good as Lou Brock because he has over 700 stolen bases. He didn't have anything else to go for it. He had the base running, but he wasn't anywhere near the talent level of Ty Cobb or Lou Brock after that.
That's fair. Craig, what do you think?
I agree. That's an excellent analogy.
I get some takes in sports, like, Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith have made a career out of crazy takes for clicks and attention and conversation because it's free advertising for their show. But let's at least keep it in the realm of possibility, because I'm worried that I'm going to have a stroke before I'm 50 if I keep reading crap like this. And I don't eat healthy, so the odds are already not in my favor. Let's not add fuel to the fire. Oh, shit. You know what?
When McRib season comes, that's about time to shine, boy.
Hold on. We're gonna make this fun because Dan wants to join us.
Really?
Hey, all right.
I'm not talking about basketball.
Oh God.
LeBron would be a great center fielder.
Dan is about to come in here hot. So everybody, please understand the parental advisory in the corner is more for stuff like this than what the three of us or even Erica's going to discuss, because we're.
And I have to say it as someone who is Italian. Dan hates Italians.
Oh God. Oh man.
Send your rebuttals to care of Daniel Dick Warner.
He gets a lot of rebuttals, sexual harassment lawsuits. I mean, there's the list is endless.
I mean,
I know he's
it's
got
tough being the king of Walmart trailer parks.
It's tough work. I mean, it's a messy business.
I mean, kudos to him. He found a way to travel through time and pick off Mussolini. I mean,
oh God. Hurry up, Dan. I'm waiting on you, bro.
Because I want to touch bases on that security at Pittsburgh before we go off the air tonight. I really do.
We will.
Okay.
I do want to talk about that because that was okay. We'll get back when Dan joins us. Okay. So before what we're going to do is while we're waiting for Dan to come get in here, we're going to go ahead and run through highlights. So, John, take it away.
All right. So first off, good news. Dan, if you're watching, Giancarlo Stanton, taking batting practice, nice and easy. He's, in uniform. Doesn't look like there's many restrictions on him. Looks like he's just getting loose, waiting for the moment where he gets called up. So that's really good news for a lineup that, is kind of hit and miss right now. No pun intended, but Stanton coming back would be a big shot in the arm for the guys in the Bronx. So let's just hope he can recover and expedite this process and get back in the lineup.
My only concern with Stanton is, with what I just saw, is that swing isn't nearly as chaotic as his is. He's going to fall down a heck of a lot more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I think one, he's old.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, he's got to take it easy. But there's enough pop. There's enough power in there where you can protect him. You can drop him to 6. You don't have to put him in the 4 position.
It's a good spot for him to hit 6. I don't think that's a bad idea.
You could drop him in 6. You have Judge. You have Bellinger. You have why is the guy's name escaping me? The guy that replaced him that knocked out like 3 home runs in a game. So you have a powerful lineup already. So you don't need to rely on him. You can maybe ease him in.
You don't have to rush him back either.
DH him every couple of games. I think because he's almost my age, in a lot better shape, but he's almost my age, and so he's got to transition in. You can't hit the ground running.
He's gonna have to kick things off a little slower. All right, so let's get to the rest of the highlights here. What we got?
Okay, so first off, we have Jose Ramirez taking off stolen base. That puts him in elite company. Makes him the 7th player of all time to hit 250 stolen bases and 250 home runs. Now, this raises an interesting point because I have the names pulled up. If you want to pause it for a second. This is what I call when he retires. He's only 32, so his stats are primed to get better. But he's the 7th player to record 250 career home runs and stolen bases, and that's with a single franchise. So every other player did it with one franchise. The company he keeps now is Derek Jeter with the Yankees, Craig Biggio with the Astros, Barry Bonds with the Giants, Willie Mays with the Giants, Ryan Sandberg with the Cubs, and Robin Yount. I always forget about Robin Yount with the Brewers. Now, my question is this going to be something that I call a company you keep vote for the Hall of Fame? Like if he maintains his stats and he gets there and he's a bubble guy, if he's got that elite company surrounding him, is that what pushes him across the line and all across the ballot and gets him into Cooperstown? Because every single person on that list is in the Hall.
I think the only thing that can hold him back is no ring. Craig, what do you think?
What do you mean?
I agree.
No ring?
Yeah, I agree.
You have Yount, Bonds, Sandberg, and Biggio on this list.
John has a ring.
Yount?
Yeah, the Brewers.
Robin Yount has a ring. Yeah.
Brewers have never won a World Series.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't. They lost twice.
Yes, they did.
Let me tell you what. Let me take a look. We're going to check Baseball Reference. No, he does not have a ring.
No? All right.
He
does not. At least not that I can see.
No, they
sworn.
They fought it out. I forgot who they lost to. It wasn't the Yankees. They were in the American League. want to say the Dodgers beat him.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, Robin Yount does not have a ring. So
Okay.
the reason, but here's to me the reason why I say the ring is when you look at Jose Ramirez's numbers. Now, of course, he has about a 12-year career in majors from when he first got called up the first time.
And he's not injury prone, so we could say he's got about 8 years left. Just to tack on to what you're saying.
Realistically, that's fair. Career 279 hitters. He's a career 279 hitter. Has, like you said, so we're 260 home runs right now, 251 stolen bases. But when you look at his hitting, like he doesn't have a lot of strikeouts. His slugging percentage actually for his career is 503. So that's certainly not bad either. Like there's a lot there, but my concern with him is when you have a guy that's on a team like Cleveland, and I'm going to use Cleveland for I'm going to use Cleveland for the example because of the situation he's played for. It's a smaller market team that doesn't get as much attention. With all of those other guys that you mentioned, they were far more marketed than the Guardians or
their correct name is the Bridge Trolls or
J-Ram. Now, anybody that's an actual baseball fan knows who Jose Ramirez is. But when you've got a guy that could be considered on the bubble, things like, does he have a ring, are going to come into question. Things like, what market was he in is going to come into question. What was his impact outside of baseball? And J-Ram doesn't have things in a lot of those categories. So if he's going to be considered a bubble guy, I think I think despite him being in that company, I can't say yet that he's in. He's definitely not first ballot. But
no, definitely not.
But it's right now is he going to have enough consistent votes to where he stays on the ballot all 10 years, and then maybe we see it come in like 6, 7, 8 somewhere in there.
All right, so I've got his stats pulled up, just like you. Say realistically, he sticks it out 8 years. The home runs get to 350. He's well over 1,000 RBIs. He could get to 350 stolen bases, and he's got 2,000 hits. That's a solid third or fourth ballot vote. That's still not first ballot, but it gets to the point where you get to the third or fourth ballot, it might be, all right, he's got the stuff, put him in. Like he might be an Andre Dawson.
That's fair. Okay. Craig, what do you think?
Fair.
Okay. All right, let's keep going.
All right, so there we go. That's the 250 club for Jose Ramirez. Now we got Cody Bellinger. Special day for him, despite Tampa Bay kind of beating the Yankees up. 200 home runs for Cody Bellinger. Nice milestone for him. So, and I think, Seven, you were saying there's another 200 home run milestone after this one?
Yes, we had Alex Bregman hit his 200th career home run today in the Sox win over the Rangers. Wilyer Abreu also had a 3-run game in that.
All right, Willie Abreu, 3 home run game. All right, so here we go. Oh, you got to respect the hustle on this. Victor Scott, all the way from first on a single, rounding the bases, slides head first into home. That's something you can't teach. That's just blinding speed. That's shades of the Flash right there.
He's
on
quick,
a single.
Man. He didn't even have a huge lead on that either. Look how close he was.
He even stutter stepped at second base, and he managed to make the turn and get all the way back to home. If he didn't stutter step, he probably wouldn't even had to slide.
I think he's still sliding, but I mean, it's not even as close as it was.
Okay, and Tellez in wherever the Athletics are calling home. Look, they're all hanging out on my lawn. All right, he hits a bomb, just murders this ball. murders the ball worse than the dreams of anybody left who happens to be an athletics fan. It's just destroyed. Just
That ball had
stop.
spam.
They're already dead. They bring out the trident. Ando would be proud. Now, here we go. Freddie Freeman. Rare display of speed from him here. He rounds the bases, clears the bases on a triple, and does a weird little shimmy here when he comes up. I don't know. I guess it's a Canadian thing. I'm not quite sure.
Cup adjustment.
But the swing was even off, and he still managed to hit the power alley, still managed to round the bases. And last lumber highlight is Soto. Soto hits his 6th and 7th home runs of the year for the Mets. So right now, if you're keeping count, he's making about $100 million per home run.
Oh my God.
Glad the Yankees didn't take him. But anyway, he hits has a 2 home run game. So that was good for Soto. Good for the Mets. I mean, eventually they're going to fall apart, so they got to enjoy it while it lasts. I mean, it's like if you ever read Spider-Man and you see how good things are going for Peter Parker, eventually something's going to happen and it's all just going to come crashing down. All right, so after this, we're going to get into gems. We have some really good gems, and then I added another segment that just White Sox are going to White Sox. That's all I'm going to say. All right, so here's the gem. We're in Toronto, and here's Jimenez with a nice stab, throwing the fielder. Really nice routine play with the spin around. Or that wasn't Jimenez. I'm sorry, I got the names messed. Oh, it was Jimenez. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was Jimenez.
All right, we're staying in Toronto. And fielder says, I don't just hit dingers. Come on, man. I can field too. Reaches over the railing, alley-oop, gets the ball, puts it out, reminds people that he's not just a glorified designated hitter, and trots on back to first. Now, here we go. Guardians baseball. Sit down, Naylor. Keibert Ruiz with the cannon. Just knocks him out of the box. Now. You do not run on Keibert Ruiz. And here we go now. Shohei Ohtani. No way, Ohtani. Gets knocked out. I don't even understand why he thought he could do that. But, the Marlins.
That was close.
It was close, but only counts with hand grenades these days. And here we go. One of the best plays of the week. Hard throw to make. Dives. That's Eugenio Suarez making the dive, getting up, perfect position, throw across the diamond, third to first. Great pick by the first baseman. Now here we are. Are you kidding me?
Hold on. Before we go to this segment, Eugenio Suarez is so inconsistent. It is mind-blowing. That dude will go from not being able to field a wiffle ball to having what was it? He had last week had a 4 home run game.
Yeah, he's schizophrenic.
This week he has that. It's. I feel bad. Like my wife's a D-backs fan, and she is so frustrated by him, and I get it.
His play is schizophrenic. You can't predict who's going to show up. And for your answer, John Suggs, Colorado hands down.
Yeah, it's going to be Colorado. Okay.
All right, so here we go. Oh, routine pop fly. There, you're going to catch this, right? No. Knock some sense into him. Maybe he'll go play for a good team now. If you go to the close-up, here it comes. Hits him in the head. Let's see it from a different angle. Bam. Oh, what happened? I don't know what happened.
John, you guys could be brothers, dude.
I'm clearly the smart one. All right, and here's the prize piece. Too bad Erica's not here to see this one because right in the apple bag. Here we go. Shortstop throws to first. Matt Mervis got it. No, he don't, and he ain't having kids. That is
cup check. He fails.
He did fail that cup check too. I remember seeing this clip when that is
where your cup, kids. It does not
always
matter. I don't care how uncomfortable it is. Nothing is worse than taking a shot to the apple bag. trust me, just wear your cup.
For me, it's instinct because I was a catcher. I was behind the plate. You have to wear a cup behind the plate. But I don't get how guys in the field don't wear it. They're like, oh, it makes me move weird. Okay, getting hit in the nuts with a ball is going to make you move really weird.
Yes, it is.
Like, how is that not second nature to these guys? You are professionals. Your sperm could sell for millions of dollars on the black market.
And the thing is,
Protect
man, there's
the value.
And the thing is, there are so many variables with like baseball and hockey because the puck and the ball fly all over the place. Like I remember when I played goalie and the puck would bounce and it would hit me in places that I didn't even think were possible. Like, and
they're
that
going
ball hits
so
a pebble.
fast.
That like the one play I can perfectly describe to sum this up. He didn't get hit in the nether regions, but when Ozzie Smith made that dive with his glove and the ball hits a pebble and he had to acrobatically stretch his bare hand out because the ball bounced on a trajectory and grab the ball with his bare hand and make the throw while he was diving. That's how crazy it could get if the ball hits the right spot on the field.
Craig, you getting on the field with that cup?
No way. I had a cup get cracked one time, so yeah, no. Mm-mm.
I had a few of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
My freshman year, the ace on our baseball team threw over 90. He was a senior. And when his curveballs hit the dirt, like when I was still learning how to be, backstop and stop that ball, that I cracked my cup a couple of times. Like it was not fun. That is no hard pass. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
If you don't mind, before we move on, can I answer some of these questions?
Oh yeah, let's. So John, it was Ben Rice that had that 3 home run game. Yeah, you're right. Cards. It was 82, lost in 82 to the Cards. Okay. Brandon. Yeah, Atlanta can't decide if they want to win or not. You need to have some conversation with your friends. Like, just tell them to get their head out of their ass or something. I've talked about this ad nauseum. Craig and I have as well. And Ambrose, I'll let you share yours too. But Shoeless Joe should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think the evidence is overwhelming. And unfortunately, even if you discard the evidence, the organized crime element, the evidence that he actually took money and was aware of what was going on, the more and more stuff comes out, it's clear that he had a hand in it. And it is one of sports' most tragic stories. But even if you discard all of that, he doesn't have the required at-bats to even make the all-time batting average official list. He should be third. Babe Ruth is third. And you can't go back in time and give him those at-bats. You can't go back in time and give him 4 more seasons to hit those requirements.
But if the seasons hadn't been taken from him, he would have absolutely had those numbers and ended up on the all-time list. And as far as the taking money and stuff like that, yes, he did technically take money, but he was also told that it was already a done deal and he didn't have a choice. And that was already that's already been clearly stated by pretty much everybody that was actually involved. They didn't give him a choice.
Eddie Collins didn't take the money.
The way that I've always understood
money.
The way that I've always understood Shoeless Joe Jackson is he was very much a dedicated baseball player, but he was about the team. And so when it's portrayed to him that this is done, and he doesn't know that these other guys aren't taking the money, he doesn't know those things, that matters, because he, by all accounts, he cooperated with the investigation.
I mean,
he actually helped their case.
Joe Jackson is the face of this story. The better argument could be made for Buck Weaver because Buck Weaver didn't take any money. And the only thing he was guilty of was not ratting out his friends. But he did try to rat his friends out. Buck Weaver went to Comiskey. Buck Weaver went to Kid Gleason. And no one wanted to hear it. But he got banned anyway. So the better case to be made, because he's one of the best third basemen in history. No one could play a bunt like Buck Weaver. No one could hit that. Like that's where ground balls went to die, was his third base. And he...
The other thing
he kept,
and you are correct, he was, and I also would not have a problem with Buck Weaver going in, but with Shoeless Joe Jackson, the other thing that I don't think gets credited enough to him is the money that he took was for point shaving, but there's no evidence through any of the performance in that World Series that he did anything to shave points. He actually had stellar numbers at the plate. His fielding was exactly what it should be. His play, there was no evidence through his play that he was involved in any way. And
but
so
that if you break the law, you still break the law.
Well, but are we not going to are we not going to take credit for the fact that those guys were underpaid, underrepresented? The league was exploiting them to no fucking end. And when you're in a position where you're trying to provide for your family and play the game that you love because it's the only thing you know how to do, extra money is extra money, man.
I mean, to be honest, a lot of that, because I've read about this backwards and forwards, and I'm not saying you're 100% wrong, but I'm not saying you're 100% right. They painted Charles Comiskey as a villain because this happened in an era where folk heroes were the thing, and the people with the money were the villains. And the Black Sox were the folk heroes. And they painted Comiskey as a miserly, penny-pinching, and in some respects he was, but in some respects he wasn't. And, you know, the paper can smear you to a point where, I mean... You've seen the man who shot Liberty Valance. I think at least one of you has.
Oh, yeah.
When the legend becomes the story, print the legend. Like, Charles Comiskey was not as miserly as you said, and I'll give you one backstory. Chris Vonderah, the original owner of the St. Louis Cardinals, was Charles Comiskey played baseball for him. When Vonderah fell on hard times and was destitute, Comiskey would send him a monthly stipend as a thank you for getting his foot in the door in the major leagues. That's not something that a miser does.
I disagree, because there is the players are a product. The players are a product. Sam Walton, like David Glass, was the CEO of Walmart, owned the Royals. He would do a lot of charity work in the community in Kansas City. He helped a lot of people with that charity work. He made a lot of positive impact in the community, but he also ran a company that exploited its workers, and he underpaid his players and exploited them for a profit as well. But two things can be true.
Oh, but they also can't be mutually exclusive, and you're comparing men that lived 100 years apart from each other in completely different times.
Yeah, it was different times, but there's not a difference. You can be the type of person that will help somebody out that has a personal impact on you and still see the people that work for you as a product and nothing more. That's my point. It's there is definite, and I'm not going to say that he's, do I think that Comiskey was as bad as some people put him out to be? No. But I also think that, because if you look at the events, and one of the reasons why it points to some of what Comiskey did, you know, Comiskey not being as good as he wanted to say he was, being true, is the events that followed, including the start, the commissioner of baseball becoming a thing, and the owners having complete control over that, and the start of it being the players versus the owners. And Comiskey fed into that. And owners like Comiskey have continued to feed into that. So there is a pattern there. And all of these people have good things that they do. They're not all bad. I'm not saying that Charles Comiskey is the same as Holland or as Stalin or Hitler or that nutsack that's running Russia right now. Like they're horrible people, but they still have little good things that they do. When you go through trauma and abuse, your abusers will treat you like shit, but every once in a while they'll buy you something, just so that you question the impact that they're having on you, and you like maybe it is okay.
But what people forget though about the Black Sox scandal, and one of the things, because the three of us all probably have a really vast knowledge of baseball history.
My comic.
Gambling was at the forefront way before this.
Daddy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially with what the Pirates went through in the late 1985.
Look up Hal Chase. Hal Chase originated throwing games. Hold on. What's up, honey?
Comic book.
Comic books, yes. Head on the pillow. I'll get them in a second, okay? Okay. Hal Chase was a master at throwing games. Gambling was at the forefront. It was a huge problem before the Black Sox. The only difference here was Meyer Lansky organized it and made it a national thing. Whereas it would normally be a local bookie throwing a couple bucks to an outfielder to drop a fly ball at a key moment. Meyer Lansky was like Vince McMahon, came in, consolidated it, and made it huge. And that's the main difference. It has nothing to do with Comiskey, because before the Black Sox were even a thing, Chick Gandil was the White Sox first baseman. He was already regarded to be a professional malcontent. You're telling me Comiskey paying him 30 cents less than the average baseball player? That's what swayed his decision? I mean, like I said, you're not 100% wrong, but you're not 100% right either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Craig, what do you want to add?
He still goes in the Hall of Fame. Sorry. He goes in the Hall of Fame.
It's a lot of things for me when it comes to the decision on somebody's Hall of Fame. Were they a great player? Yes. Can you tell the story of baseball without them?
No.
And you can talk about the right. Yeah. Exactly. It's the same thing with Bonds. It's the same thing with Pete Rose as a player. And John, no, he should not have gone in before he died. Pete Rose should not have gone in before he died. He knows exactly why he didn't, and that was his punishment. Do I think he gets recognized now? I'm amenable to that, but he didn't deserve to get in before he died. He knows why he lost it. He died knowing why he lost it.
He was a repeat offender. He didn't understand the meaning of the word no. Faye Vincent had to bail him out twice coming back from Japan for income tax evasion because he tried to smuggle the cash over in a briefcase. The man had no common intellect. He had no couth. He had no awareness, self or otherwise. And he walked past a sign every day in that locker room because of Joe Jackson that said absolutely no gambling. And he did it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now we're going to start talking pitching. Ando, what's up, buddy? All right, so now we're going to talk pitching. I told John, I said we were going to talk pitching, so we're going to start with the Orioles. I saw a stat today because I wanted to see where the Orioles were at because they're still struggling. And one of the questions that because I could see like they're getting out of games early. Like there's teams that are just jumping on them. The starting rotation for the Baltimore Orioles has a 5.75 ERA. The only two teams with a starting rotation that is higher are the Marlins and, of course, the White Sox.
The Rockies aren't up there?
No, the Rockies are actually the Rockies' starting rotation ERA is actually slightly better than the Orioles.
Wow.
Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I'm right on the teams. Yes, I'm sorry. No, it's the Rockies and the Marlins. The White Sox are fourth worst. So I got that backwards.
Yeah, because the White Sox are weird. They'll allow 10 games and then shut out like 3 people and then allow another 10 runs.
Right. But one of the things with the Orioles is you have your 3 of your key starters, Zach Eflin, Grayson Rodriguez, and Albert Suarez, that are all out because of injury. Does that justify this much of a turn from what was expected for the Orioles? Craig, I'll let you take this one first since you haven't gotten to talk much today.
Yes, it does. Pitching's kind of important.
What about next man up though?
What if next man is not that good?
Okay, that's fair. So the injury issues combined with a lack of depth is where they're at, and it's justifiable.
Yeah.
Ambrose, what do you think?
I mean, am I going to summon Erica like Beetlejuice if I say just sign Trevor Bauer already?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I think you're right.
You're going to hear like the Flintstone run. I mean, Craig, I know you hate the man. I'm not a fan of him as a person, but do you want to be right or do you want to win? I mean, it gets down to that, and that's pretty much what baseball is. Do you want to be right or do you want to win?
Do you want to win?
I don't like him, so I don't miss him. And he's a dirtbag. He's a flat out dirtbag.
I mean, so was Pete Rose. Would you take him?
No, Pete Rose is not as bad as Bauer. Really
I don't know.
not.
I'd lend Bauer money before I lent Pete Rose money.
No. There's a reason why nobody's touching him in Major League Baseball. Nobody. And they won't. He's done.
He's done. I don't think he comes back. You used to see pitchers pitch a whole game. Now you might get 4 to 5 innings. Right. Well, and in the early 1900s, there was really no such thing as a relief pitcher. You pitched all 9 innings.
Relief pitching didn't really come until it didn't really get flirted with until the 30s and 40s, and it didn't really take off until Baltimore and Hoyt Wilhelm. And then people were like, there's something to this. We can rest our starters for a couple innings and put another guy in. Then it kind of started to take off.
Well, and the other part, John, to answer your question for why this is happening. 30 years ago, we didn't have guys throwing 95 to 100 miles an hour every pitch. This is something I've said multiple times. They were saving the gas for when they needed it. Now they've got the pedal to the floor the entire time. So but also look at Paul Skeens. Last night, Paul Skeens had thrown over 100 pitches, and it was only the 6th inning because he had no defense. He's because of how bad Pittsburgh is right now. So do you blow out the arm of a young guy like Paul Skeens, who's going to have a huge amount of trade value for them probably next season is when they're going to do it?
Yeah, I agree.
Which, especially with the fact that a lot of these pitchers are 300 to $300 million arms. Do you want to get what do you want to do?
And it's because I agree with you, and to piggyback off what you're saying, it's a brave new world for pitchers. And right now we're in a weird generation where we have more should-have-beens than actually pitchers that make up the history of this generation of baseball. I mean, you can go through the list: Mark Pryor, Kerry Wood, Zach Day, Steven Strasburg. The list goes on and on. That's just 4 off the top of my head. And these guys are just told to go out there and whale the ball. And they get hurt. They don't rehabilitate correctly. And it's just not working out.
I want to point out something because this involves somebody that was a very dear friend to Craig and I. one of the reasons that the mentality has changed for pitchers is because they've come to realize that the mentality that used to be there killed people's career. Our dear friend that used to host our baseball show with us, Stephen Weaver, gets called up in 1982, gets to start against Cleveland at an away game in Cleveland. Tore his rotator cuff in the first inning. Still pitched into the third inning before they pulled him out. He never recovered. He never pitched another major league game. Imagine if the culture was different in the 80s, so these guys could actually say, look, my arm is hurt. I need to come out. This is not good. And the team goes, okay. And they get him they take care of the injury, and he gets that, and he gets to come back up. Typically they get to come back up, they get their shot again. And, even if it's a season, because freak stuff like that, like we now have an understanding in baseball now that freak stuff like that can happen. But we're not going to let it kill a guy's career. Thank you. So, why are we going to continue to let possibly great pitchers get fried out? And yes, a lot of these guys went deep into games.
Maddox never threw a pitch over 90, though. He's got to come off that list.
And Roger Clemens and Clayton Kershaw is injured. Clayton Kershaw pitches 10 games and is injured for 18 months. So I don't
even understand how you didn't include Nolan Ryan in this list.
Right, but you look at guys like Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson was a freak of nature.
Yeah,
in the best way. I grew up watching him. I wanted to catch for Randy Johnson. That was my dream when I was a kid.
Pedro Birds Martinez. Sacrifice themselves just to improve career.
Pedro Martinez, another freak of nature. You don't have, but also some of these guys like Pedro and Roger Clemens specifically, they were best at locating, not at speed. You didn't see Pedro blowing out 103, 105. That was never going to happen. And if you saw 97 from Pedro, you were like, oh, he threw some gas right there. And that was once every 10 games.
And I've said it before on this podcast. Nolan Ryan has been in multiple interviews where he said, I was born to do this. This is my calling. I'm a freak of nature. And it was 20 years ago, and he was in his mid-50s, approaching 60, when he did an interview for Sports Illustrated, and they clocked him because he has a baseball field in his backyard, and he still throws as a hobby. And this is 20 years ago. He's still 60, and he's still hitting 85, 90 miles per hour. He said, I could come out right now of retirement and be a relief pitcher and throw for 2 innings, and it wouldn't bother me. I am not the standard. I'm the exception to the rule.
Craig, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I also interviewed Ryan, and his routine in the off season was insane. I mean, if he wasn't roping cattle on his ranch, he had a barrel, probably still does, had a barrel in his living room next to his couch or chair when he watched his college football games, full of dried beans, and in that barrel were baseballs. And he would take his pitching arm, he'd reach into that barrel and move his arm around in those beans and pick baseballs out to keep his elbow and his arm and his wrist strong in the off season watching football games.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, but he was the exception to the rule, though. He was not.
And
yeah,
and that's my thing is he's the exception because you're. I don't want a pitcher do I want to see my starter go 5 to 6 innings and every once in a while go deep? Absolutely, but there's enough space on the roster. Let's cap them at 6 innings. 6, 7 innings, unless they're throwing a no-hitter or something, and bringing the bullpen to close out the game. There's nothing wrong with it. Those guys bullpen pitchers are built to give you everything they got and just be insanely good for about 25 pitches. Use it. There's no reason not to.
I mean, I look at it this way. Baseball is a sport where every 20 or so years, the machismo is tested. And it's been like that since it started 150 years ago. Gloves for catchers were unheard of. And you were not a man if you put on a catcher's mitt when the catcher's glove was conceived. Next was gloves for fielders. Next was batting helmets. It's one of those things where bravado constantly has to be contested and questioned, and not in like a feminist way, but in a common sense way. And right now, it seems like the thing is pitching, where we're in a battle now where half the culture of baseball is saying these guys can't stay in past 7 innings, and the other half is like, stay healthy. You're doing the right thing.
You're going to, well, look at like our next topic, Lucas Giolito. Just came back at, last week, pitched another game yesterday for the first time in well over 500 days. Okay, which is great. And Lucas Giolito is in his when he's right is a pitcher that can give you an ERA of sub 4, which if you got a starter giving you a sub 4 ERA, like he had in 2017, his age 22 year, he only pitched 7 games that year, but he still had an ERA of 2.38. 2.38 ERA across 7 games. That's pretty good. I can appreciate that. But you've got this guy that has just come back from all of that. He pitched in his, where'd it go? I want to see. There it is. In his first game back, he pitched 6 innings, but he wasn't locating. So he gave up 5 hits, 3 runs. He only had 2 of those 3 runs were home runs. He only walked 2, and he struck out 7. He was having a hard time locating. In the game he pitched yesterday against the Rangers, in 3.2 innings, he gave up 10 hits. 6 of those were runs. No home runs. I'm sorry. He gave 10 hits, 6 earned runs. Only walked a guy. No home runs, but only 2 Ks. Like something. First of all, I don't think Lucas Giolito is ready to be back, and that's one of the things I want to talk about today. But do you want to put a guy that's struggling like that and just coming back from 500 plus days of injury after fighting cancer and getting Tommy John and say, all right, go 8, go 7, go 8?
Craig,
No.
You want to go first? Because I have a lot to say about this.
Go ahead, Craig.
I said no. No, you don't.
What do you got? What do you got, Ambrose?
I think this goes into, again, the culture around the sport, and it's affected sports across the board where patience has become a 4-letter word. And we want results, and we want them now. And it doesn't matter. That's why all these kids are getting called out of the minors before they're ready to come up. Jackson Holiday last year.
He was not ready the first time he got
Dylan
called up.
Bundy,
Yeah.
when the Orioles called him up. You want the results now, and it's why a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL fail, because you don't develop these guys. You just throw them out to the wolves. They get shell-shocked, and they don't reach their potential. It's why a lot of pitchers don't reach their potential. It's why a lot of hockey players don't. Again, it's across the board. The only sport that seems to be impervious to it is basketball. And I don't think that's for lack of talent. I just think the nature of the sport, you either have it or you don't. And I think that's just how basketball works. I mean, you hone your skills at a young age, and you build off of it on your own on the court. And that's just how basketball has always been. The other 3 sports, though, can't do that. And you want instant results, you want instant success, and you're not willing to let people put the time in. You're just calling them up and calling them up and calling them up and ruining career after career after career.
I think it does happen too often. But I also think that with when it comes to some of these players, the other thing that's does they get is the organization rushes them back too quickly when they do get injured. Because Lucas Giolito is a decent pitcher. He's not locating. He's not consistent. That tells me he's not ready to be back.
No,
why wasn't he? Why wasn't he? Because Boston was doing okay before he got called up. Yeah, there's still some pitching struggles. Or why is he starting? Why is he not spending some time in the bullpen where he's only throwing 1 to 2 innings a game so that he has time to get it right? And then you turn him loose one day. He's the long starter on a bullpen day, and all of a sudden he goes 7 innings and he's back in the rotation. Like, I think that makes more sense than throwing him to the wolves against a guy like against a team like Toronto that has every incentive to want to win because they are struggling, and then Texas is coming off of firing their hitting coach and they're trying to find their bats because they have one of the worst offenses in baseball, but they've got one of the best pitching staffs in baseball right now.
Or maybe there's not enough guys to speak up in these war rooms to say maybe Giolito just isn't a starter anymore. And that's okay. Maybe he should be relegated to the bullpen. That happened to Mariano Rivera. He had a very good career after that happened to him.
That's fair. Craig, what do you think?
Same with Dennis Eckersley, too.
Yeah.
Dennis
Eckersley.
Legendary closer. Legendary closer. And that's the thing is I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And that's the thing. It's about player health. I would rather see him brought back in a way that is beneficial to him, especially with everything he's been through. That chemo wrecked his body. He's going to have to learn how to be a professional athlete again. He has to learn that as he's recovered. And now that he's playing again, he has to do it. He has to learn that next part. It's almost like he's a rookie again because he's been gone for 2 years. So,
but I mean,
I don't think it's fair to Giolito or to baseball fans to say, okay, you haven't been able to locate yet. They were talking in his first start about the fact that when he was in his rehab starts, he wasn't locating. Why is he in the majors? Why is he active? What's going on? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Because somewhere along the line, baseball ceased to be a game and became an industry. And it ceased to be a stadium and it became a factory. And they're treating these players like you're treating a car in an auto plant. You're just pumping them out and pumping them out and pumping them out and waiting for something to hit so you can get your money and you can get your ring. And it's not the same as it was.
Yep. No, I completely agree. I think you are 100% correct. What else were we gonna
like even look at the NFL for 1 second. I know it's a baseball show. Peyton Manning's first season. If he had the first season he had now, Peyton Manning wouldn't be a Hall of Famer. They'd have shipped him off somewhere. They'd have traded him. He'd be a backup quarterback. After his first season, throwing 20 interceptions to 7 touchdowns, going 3-13. They'd have said this isn't working out after one season and sent him like Cleveland.
I'm okay. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, now they wouldn't because are you sure? Because Kyler Murray's gotten every chance under the sun, and that he should be playing baseball.
No, that's just because he's Jose Altuve's brother.
But yeah, like that's my thing. Is like there should be development because like guys like who we're going to talk about next, Christian Campbell and Luis Angel Acuna. Both of these guys got called up this year and have started off extremely, extremely hot. I'm talking Christian Campbell has been on base, I think, all but 3 games since he got called up. 3 games that he started. He's missed a couple of games because
the Red Sox.
Yeah, the second baseman for the Red Sox that looks like Josh Dobbs with hair. I mean, electric. a superb start, superb consistency. He's already batting fourth in the lineup for Boston. He's making a splash impact. Like, that's great. Most guys take time, and there's nothing wrong with that. They should be allowed to develop because there is a change in the speed and the pace of the game in any sport when you go from high school to college, college to minors, minors to pros. There's speed jumps at every level.
Let's see what happens in a month after they got a book on him.
Yeah, I agree with Craig. I was about to say
Well,
that. Because to quote Billy Bob Thornton, playing baseball is like going to bed with a German chick. You might love it, but it might not love you back all the time. and I mean, that happens to a lot of players, and they got to figure out a way to work through those slumps.
Yep.
They do, for sure. And I think that we're going to see a true test for both of the AL, because the AL and NL, for those of you that don't know, the AL and NL Rookie of the Month for April was Christian Campbell. And then the other one was the Mets, Luis Angel Acuna. And Acuna in his own right, he's hit 298 to start the year. He already has 8 stolen bases. He has not hit his first home run yet. This season. He does. I think he spent some time up last year at the end of the year. I think he was a September call up, if I recall.
And what you just said, that's the fundamental problem. He's doing good, 298, 8 stolen bases. You're out of the line. The people in the war room, why isn't he hitting 300? Why doesn't he have a home run yet? Why isn't he doing this? Why isn't he doing that?
I think it's easier. I think on some teams, maybe, like if it's a team that is that has a lot of expectations and not a lot of results from the entire team, I think that's when you start to see every player get picked apart. But right now, the Mets are one of the best teams in baseball. It's the Mets and the Tigers, the 2 top teams in baseball right now. And
God,
so,
terrible timeline,
isn't it? It's so crazy.
The Mets and the Tigers. The Tigers sell ballpark hot dogs in their stadium. That's like the worst grocery store hot dog.
But the Mets don't need him to be hitting home runs right now because they're getting – not only is he hitting 298, so he's still hitting above average. He still has, 4 RBIs already this year? Like, he's making an impact. But because of the fact that you're getting results from the rest of the lineup, it's not as much of a problem. And I don't think he's going to be a home run hitter. I think Acuna – Luis Angel Acuna is going to be more similar to what I was. He's going to be a gap hitter and a contact hitter. He's going to clear the bases and he's going to get on base, which is exactly what you need from somebody that hits in the late bottom of the late middle of the lineup. Because like if he hits like 6th and 7th a lot is where he's at, which I think is a perfect spot for him, similar like Stanton, which is we're talking about with Stanton, because that's all you just need him to keep it going.
I mean,
or you put him at 9th so that you have somebody on base when your leadoff gets up there.
Personally, I think a lot more executives need to adopt the mentality of someone like Joe Torre, because Joe Torre, whenever George Steinbrenner would call down and go on a like Donald Trump like tirade on Joe Torre and like threaten to fire everybody, Torre just like, George, it's April. We're not even 15 games in, George. Just let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let these guys click. And no one does that anymore. No one does that anymore. They need that voice of reason just to be like, these guys got to simmer. If you boil them, they're going to go bad. They got to simmer.
So to ask you guys a question, we've got Christian Campbell, you got Luis Angel Acuna, your April Rookies of the Month. Do either of these players have a legitimate shot at being the Rookie of the Year based on the other prospects we've got and who it looks like is going to get called up?
I'd say watching it, I hate it. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to go first, Craig? Because you really haven't said a lot this episode. I want to give you
it's too early. It's just too early.
You think it's too early to say? Okay.
Yeah.
From what I've watched, I mean, there's nothing I've seen that tells me Campbell can't do it. In the off chance that he's watching this, First off, thank you very much. Awesome. Tell your friends. Secondly, listen to your coaches, watch your tapes, look at your tendencies, and learn to adjust.
It's
They're
well,
gonna
no,
figure
because
you out. And
exactly,
you have to figure out that they're figuring you out before they figure you out. And you have to stay a step ahead of them. If he can do that, I don't see why he can't win a Rookie of the Year.
No, and that's the thing, because like you guys were saying earlier, that now that you're a month, you're what 5-6 weeks into the season, we're at 35 games. There's tape on you now.
Yeah,
there's
and you
tape
have
on the trash that you'll swing at.
If you have a good pitching coach in there, and you say, "Hey, he's dropping his elbow on this one. He's expecting a curveball," and he's watching the tape, or hey, he raised his elbow up on this. He's expecting your forkball on that. Next time we got to adjust that. It's like playing poker. You have tells. And you have to learn how to conceal your tells. That's what keeps you good. Or else you end up like Ango Baroa. And no one wants to be Ango Baroa. Ango Baroa doesn't even want to be Ango Baroa.
Anything to add, Craig?
No, I mean baseball is hard because it's a constant game of adjustment. It's always an adjustment constantly. You can never be comfortable. I mean, no player has a comfortable bat every single game. No pitcher has a comfortable outing every single game.
Yeah, it's like even like Greg Maddux said, I nailed everyone down except for that MF or Tony Gwynn.
That's fair. Okay, so before we wrap up tonight, couple of hot topics that we wanted to talk about. First, let's dive into PNC Park. So quick update about the fan that fell. He is up and around. He is doing better. He is recovering. We have confirmation that this was not any kind of a mental health episode. Or
that's good. I was worried about
good.
Yeah, that's that because that was my first concern. Because like you could see from the video, like it wasn't that it didn't look like he it didn't look like anything other than he jumped. And it seems like
what I saw is it looked like he had one too many and he was cheering and he kind of weeble wobbled over the railing. That was what I thought. But people were saying other things and I was trying to show respect to that. So I didn't want to bring my personal observation to light. Like
it seems closer to what you assume than anything else. The police did say that based on evidence, they can confirm that he had 2 beers at the game. He was a 20-year-old college football player, which I think the fact that he was, in decent shape and a 20-year-old guy is why he survived, because he fractured his skull. And somebody our age,
buddy was in the pose next to him.
He jumped down to see if he was okay. And when you jump down, you don't fall down. It's a little easier to control your landing. You don't fracture your skull. But like, it's the evidence seems like he had 2 at the game.
He had 2 at the game.
He had 2 at the game. He was a college student. You can't tell me he was sober when he got to the game. I don't believe it.
And not only that, I mean, the brain is weird. You're a college football player. Even if, play devil's advocate, the guy only had 2 beers. We'll go with that narrative.
Okay.
College football player, you're playing hard. You have CTE. Is that 2 beers going to hit you the same way 2 beers hits me?
No, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, there's a lot of other factors. And that's just playing devil's advocate. Did he probably have more than 2 beers? Yes. But going by the evidence, you still have to take stuff like that into account.
You have to. And it's, no ill will towards him. I'm happy for him and his family and his girlfriend. There is a GoFundMe for him if you're, that type. I'm not going to share the link because that's not something we do here.
I kind of feel bad for the guy. He was on national TV. People thought he was having an episode. And he got a lot of undue attention. it's an unfortunate circumstance. I'm glad it's not as unfortunate as what we thought.
Yeah, same.
But it's still an unfortunate circumstance, and I hope the guy could just maintain some sense of privacy at this point.
For sure. Anything to add, Craig?
Nope, that closes that one out. Let's go on.
All
Let's
right.
go on to security.
So I know, Craig, you have experience working security. So
Yeah.
For those of you that haven't seen, there was a video that went viral for within the last couple of days of security situation at PNC Park where a security guard swung on a patron and then later chased a patron after taking on his belt and hitting him with it. And I'm trying to not laugh at that because it's a serious thing. God damn it, Ambrose. So, all right. While we gain control of ourselves, Craig, can you share your thoughts on this?
Okay, here's a scenario that's going to go down. A, he is so fired.
Oh, yeah.
B, the patron is going to have a big payday because deep pockets. First, his lawyer will go after the pirates. Then they'll go after the security company. Then they go after the idiot security officer. He's going to have a nice big payday, which will be settled out of court. That security idiot, whatever his training was, it was a total failure. You do not engage a patron. You don't engage the public. You back off and you get in, you get your backup to come, and you don't engage. It's a lose,
right? You get a
What?
cop. There's usually cops at stadiums, right? Like you get a cop. Sorry, just to jump in to what you're saying. Like,
yeah, or
That's-
the supervisor. I mean,
Right.
you swing, you lose. And not only was it a swing, he was assault and battery using the belt.
Yeah. What? That's where I get lost. Like, I can understand because, like, there was some conversation, like, looking through the comments and doing some research online. There was some conversation that he may have been trying to protect somebody that was being sexually harassed by the individual that the security officer swung on. Which I'm not going to defend that kind of behavior because you shouldn't treat a person like that. But if that's something where he was triggered, like, I can understand, like you swing at a guy because of something like that. That information comes out. The public's going to be on your side, bro. The guy's going to have a hard time suing after that because you were a piece of shit. Everybody knows you're a piece of shit. There's not a jury in the world that's going to award you money because you got hit being a piece of shit. Is he still going to lose his job? Yeah, but it's a different narrative. You pull off your belt like you're spanking your child in 1965.
In his defense,
there is none.
And playing devil's advocate,
there is none.
He spit on the man.
Doesn't matter.
If someone spit in my face, I don't know, man. I don't know.
If you're properly trained,
security guard or not, if you spit on me, if bodily fluid ends up in my general area from you, all bets are off, and that job is not that important to me anymore.
The
training. I've been spit on. You still don't swing.
I know.
Swing.
Seem like you have a much better
temper
than mine.
You, but he usually just says thank you. But I mean, that's not that kind of. Never mind. But no, like for me, it's
that being said,
I'm not going to defend the fans' behavior. I'm not.
No.
Because based on the available information for this situation,
he was
that
baiting.
Fan was also he was baiting. The unfortunate thing is the security guard took the bait.
Yep.
And you can't do that if you're in that position. As much as it sucks, as somebody that has been a victim of sexual assault, the number of times I have there was a situation. It was share a little bit for those of you that don't know a lot about me. The night that I went through the event that gave me the complex that solidified me having complex PTSD that I still have to get care for and work on to this day. I saved a young woman from a sexual assault. I was working as a security guard in an apartment complex. And I had two choices. I could keep the woman safe or I could chase after the guy when he ran. My job was to keep her safe. I could have very easily gone after this guy. And not to be a dick, but he was a black guy and it's the Midwest. The cops probably wouldn't have done anything about it if I'd have gone after him. But my job was to keep her safe. And had I gone after him and attacked him and taken the law into my own hands, I'm instantly in trouble. And I have done nothing to help her at that point because he's now looked at as a victim, which makes the situation worse for her. But the person that was trying to protect her is in jail. That does nothing for her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because going off what you just said, I've been an on and off bouncer at bars, like at Twilight as a bouncer, because I've been in the restaurant industry for pretty much my entire life. And you deal with drunk people, you're dealing with a lot of crap.
Yeah.
I've always done what you did. If I had to work in a bar where I had a walkie, all right, guys, we got a situation up here. I need people up here. We got to get this guy out of here. I've never once been like Pootie Tang and just whipped the belt off and gone to town.
My first security gig ever. Another fun story for you guys before we close out tonight. My first security gig ever. It was at a show called Freakers Ball in Kansas City in late 2006. Now, this was the first time that Motorhead had played in Kansas City in over a decade. Okay.
So God came to Kansas City. That's amazing.
God came to Kansas City. During the Motorhead set, I was right in front of Lemmy catching crowd surfers their whole set. Like, it was great. And working and by the way, fellas, for you young guys, if you happen to come across this, if you ever just want to see a bunch of boobs, go work for a security at a concert and ask to work in the pit. You're looking at the crowd the whole time. And you know what drunk women do at concerts? They flash the lead singer. Just do that. Trust me. You'll see boobs you don't want to see. Trust me. I saw a lot of those. I saw some of them women have to roll that shit up and put it back away. But I also saw a lot of really nice ones. So just a fun tip for you. But I get pulled off during the show. I get pulled off because one of the bands that was there was Jackal, Jesse James Dupree, and he gets done with his set and he goes over to his booth to say his merch booth and he's signing autographs. And so they grab me and they're like, hey, you're going to come with us to be security to get him over to the booth. There's another team waiting there and then they will bring him back. And you're going there, you're catching crowd surfers, you're going back. You're going there you're getting in there, you're going back, catch crowd surfers.
So why do you have to catch crowd surfers? Just to interject, you got to keep them safe, make sure they don't hurt themselves, or
make sure they land safely on the ground. And the other thing is you're directing them to the side of the stage so they can go back out into the crowd rather than them jumping onto the stage and getting tackled by the singer's security, which is not as nice.
They're on the stage. They're not supposed to be there. So you kind of got to guide them off. All right.
Exactly. So I'm walking with the group. We're escorting Jesse James Dupree to his merch booth. And this guy, and for those of you that don't know me, at this point, I was a freshman in college. So I was same height I am now, 5'7", 5'8", but at that point I was probably 170 pounds.
It's like 1983.
2006. I already said it, dickhead. And I was, we're running along, I'm a lot tighter. This guy, 6 foot, easily 6 foot tall, 300 pounds, starts running at us because he sees Jesse James Dupree. I'm closer to the front of the line. So I'm tapping the supervisor that's behind me. I'm like, look, this guy's running. And he goes, and he puts his hand on my shoulder and he goes, all right, go. That was my clearance. I got permission to handle the problem. I had support behind me. It was my job to distract him while they kept the guy safe. I know what my job is at that point. I used my high school wrestling and I got him on the ground. All of a sudden, 2 cops were right next to me and had him in his zip tie cuffs and he was gone. I'm serious. The whole exchange took less than 10 seconds. And I was back with the group. No, nobody took off their belt. That was the other thing. When you're working in security, you have training, you have protocol that you have to follow. And there are people, especially if you're just a regular security guard like I was, you don't go unless they tell you to. Your job is to get them there and then they decide what happens. And if you are a supervisor, you're either taking care of the problem or you're waiting for the police to get there to take care of the problem. Like, there is a chain of command. There is a process that you're supposed to follow. When you break that process, not only do you fuck up your job, but you can potentially fuck up the legal process, because the rules behind citizens arrest are extremely strict for a good reason. And when you're just a security guard, you're not a licensed peace officer, you're held to citizens arrest rules. That's it. That's the line.
Yeah, it's like
And-
even detaining them is kind of like a gray
Exactly.
area, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, very gray area. You can get in a lot of trouble for detaining somebody when you can't. You're supposed to, like, if there's a legit situation, like the night that I saved that girl, if I had just chased that guy down and detained him, I would have been fine. He's suspected of committing sexual assault. There's a situation going on that's a felony. At that point, citizens arrest rules are in play. But if it's just somebody that's being a dick at a concert or a baseball game, if there's anything legal, it's a misdemeanor. They're probably going to get probation at worst. You can't respond with violence. You can't respond with trying to detain them. You can remove them from the area, trespass them, tell them they have to leave.
Unless it's
But you
Philly,
can't just
they
take-
see the judge.
I'll close this out with rerun the video of that guy and count how many cell phones are out
Yeah.
recording. He baited
That's
the
all
officer.
that
He
is.
baited the officer. His buddies have it on phone. He took the bait, and now the consequences are going to be very severe for the pirates, that security company, obviously for that dumbass officer, and all because the guy knew exactly what he's doing, and the phones don't lie.
The phones don't lie, but do they really tell the whole story? Like, how do you know before the phone started rolling that the guy didn't say a bunch of like racist things to him?
Doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't matter in the long run, but for a lot of people, all you got to do is hear that one trigger word and you're done. And that job doesn't matter anymore.
Clearly,
So,
that's what happened.
You know? As much as I want to say what the hell is going on in Pittsburgh, I mean, I kind of want to see things from both points of view. The guy clearly isn't going to have a job anymore. Like, even if I was his boss, I'd be like, after I got all the facts, I can understand what you did, but you took your belt off. That's not cool, okay?
Even before he took the belt off, he swung.
Oh yeah, he hit him in the mouth, didn't he?
Yeah.
I was so focused on the belt. Like he popped the guy in the mouth, didn't he?
Yeah, that's assault and battery.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot that could have happened before those phones started rolling.
He could have stepped away. He could have followed his training.
Yeah.
Stepped away.
And I agree with you on that.
Back
But it's
up.
also heat of the moment stuff, you know. I mean, nothing you can do about it now. But yeah.
No, but that story is going to continue in the courts.
It is. And the thing that I feel bad for when it comes to that guy is he may have had, like, that guy was probably saying some.
We know what he was saying.
Bad,
we know what he's saying. Yeah.
He was. Yeah. He was saying some things that you should not say regarding regarding these individuals. These individuals work really hard. They don't get paid anywhere near enough to deal with the bull crap that that gets put on them. And now you have and now you have a guy that probably had the best intentions, and now he's just stuck, and there's nothing that there's nothing he can do about it.
I mean, yeah. and I like I said, I agree with Craig. 100% correct. 100%. Professionalism above all else when you're at your job. You've got to maintain it. But as someone that does have a short temper and someone that has dealt with a lot of issues, sometimes that one guy, if you're at your job, and I've had moments like that at my job, I didn't take my belt off. I didn't pop anybody in the mouth. But if someone keeps digging at you and digging at you and digging at you, and then they hit that sweet spot where they finally get to the well and can make the volcano erupt, I mean, there's not much you can do about that. It becomes a point where professionalism and human nature have to battle it out, and human nature wins every time.
Potsy, to answer your question, I'm not. I think I know who you're talking about, but I'm not 100% sure. But I can tell you that he's not on any top prospects lists. Not even on active rosters right now for either the Wind Surge or the St. Paul Saints. Is it possible? Sure, it's possible anybody gets called up, but I don't think it's likely.
A name like that, I haven't recognized it either. You're going to have to wait. If they're making a playoff push and they get that expansion of the 50-man roster, you might see him.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing is like, because I looked, he's not on the Wind Surge roster right now. He's not on the Saints roster right now. St. Paul.
Must be relative.
Yeah, and he's not even one of the top 30 prospects. So that's kind of the hard thing. Yeah, no worries. But yeah, it's the Twins. The Twins are an interesting team right now, but we'll get some time. Maybe we'll pop up this weekend, or you know what? I'll tell you what, Posse. I'm going to be live on my TikTok tomorrow night talking baseball, watching games. Pop through, see if you can realize who it was, and we'll talk about it. You can find me on TikTok.
I'm friends with Taylor Swift.
Listen, don't be a hater, because I know that haters going to hate.
But our players going to play.
That's typically what happens from what I understand. So
just shake it off,
tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern, you can check out my TikTok. It's FGD with 7 spelled out. FGD7. Hit me up. I'll be live tomorrow night, and we'll talk some baseball.
And you know what? I'll look this guy up. I'll get some information. You tune in next week. Maybe I'll have some news for you, man.
The Chicago White Sox could call up everybody's players.
The Chicago White Sox need a military draft.
The White Sox could be blessed with a full expansion draft to rebuild their roster, and they're still going to go 26-142. It's yeah.
The White Sox are one of those things that make me miss like Gary Larson from The Far Side, because I could see there being a Far Side where it's like, oh man, I got drafted by the military, but I also got drafted by the White Sox.
Yeah, man. That's just, I could go on a rant about the White Sox and baseball allowing a bad product onto the field, but we don't have time for that. All right. For those of you that watch after, thank you. We appreciate you. I do try to keep posting stuff onto the podcast Named Deferred Facebook page. So if you haven't followed that, give it a follow. Once we get to the point where we have 100 followers on the actual podcast Named Deferred Facebook page, we will start posting. The episodes will be live on our Facebook page as well. We appreciate the guys at Wire to Wire. We're glad to be a part of the network. They've been amazing to us, and we wouldn't have found the comfortability that we already have and the success that we have so far without those guys. So to our Wire to Wire friends, thank you so much for your support and your guidance. Speaking of Wire to Wire, actually on the Wire to Wire the Wire to Wire website, we have t-shirts, $25 a piece. Go to the Wire to Wire page, take a look, see if you want to get one. If you do, message the podcast Named Facebook page or the Wire to Wire Sports Facebook page, and we will get with you. Make sure you get that ordered. I'm going to do a contest the person at the we're going to do a drawing of all the individuals who send us pictures of them in their t-shirts. At the end of the season, we are going to give away some free merch. So get you a podcast named for a t-shirt. We're going to have some of our own soon. And thank you all for joining us. We will see you next week right here on Podcast Name Deferred. Hope everybody has a great week. Thank you for stopping by.
I think this is a joke.
Oh, yeah. Fuck you, posse. I'm kidding.
Very clever.
No, I get it.
Okay. That was a nice little trip back to seventh grade.
Small dick. Yeah. Eat them.
Okay.
Kids.
Okay.